you're good to go. Yeah.
All right, good afternoon, students. Today, I'm going to talk to you about something that you may not have heard about before. So, this is called arts integration in our general classroom. So, you guys are going to be teachers. I want to teach you how to also utilize the chance of the great arts that we have, the art form, the music, the theater, the dance, and the movement. How do you get those in the classrooms, and how useful and how effectively can you actually integrate them? Now, I know most of us have encountered the music before, right? So let me just talk to you about what are some of your favorite music genres, if you can just tell me any. It could be anything.
Classical.
Classical music? I love classical music too.
I like folk.
Folk music?
Yeah.
I love that too. I'm everything. Yes.
Like classic rock.
Classical rock? Wow, let's get rocking around. Yeah. So there's tons of these different genres of music. But let me ask you a question. Have you ever thought about listening to such music when you're actually inside the classroom learning? Isn't that something weird? It sounds out of ordinary, isn't it? But actually, let me tell you something. Today, in the 21st century, we are actually able now to utilize music inside our classroom to teach different kind of things, okay? And today I'm going to teach you about the scientific method. I know we are all students and we are required by our professors to write some projects, and some of these projects are going to be required to write a very systematic method how you go about researching about something, okay? All right, but before we venture into that, let me ask you one question. Have you ever been in a classroom and then you feel bored? By a show of hands. Good. I've been too bored sometimes. Have you ever been in a classroom and you feel confused? Nice answers. What about, have you ever been in a classroom, someone is teaching you and then you are struggling to understand some concepts? Right, okay. Now what do you think brings about that? Any thoughts about that? Why do you think you are always anxious about those sort of things? Why do you get bored? Why do you struggle to understand certain concepts when somebody is teaching you?
Lack of background.
Lack of background knowledge about something? That's a good answer. Any other thoughts?
It could also be you maybe lack sleep or...
Sleep?
Yeah.
Sleeping in a class? Yeah, oh, people sleep a lot. I wouldn't like my students to sleep, okay?
Sometimes it can just be that you lack the confidence.
You lack the confidence, very good. Actually, I'm going to pick up from the last point. Yeah, lack of confidence. Do you know that when we engage our students in musical expressions, they develop more confidences? And also we can deal with some sleeping. If you are sleeping and then we engage you in a musical activity, suddenly because you're engaged, there's no more sleep, right? The background information you're talking about, we can actually draw a lot of information from the musical experiences in a classroom. But how is that play into what I'm talking about? Before I exactly do that, let's talk about scientific method. And I'm going to show you in a bit how is music. What's the deal about music and scientific method? Probably this is a weird kind of approach. But let's see. Well, a scientific method, if you will, it has 6 steps, okay? If you want to find out certain things, okay? What do? We ask a question. You want to investigate about anything, all right? You ask yourself, okay, I have a question. And then from that question, identify a problem and you write it down. For example, what's the source of a bacteria in human skeleton? Wow, sounds fancy. That's a big question, okay? Write it down. The second step as a researcher you need to do is to find out what do we know about this. Before you answer the question, you need to find out. Maybe somebody else has already answered that question, right? And then what you need to do is go in the library, read magazines, read articles and journals, anything, and then find out if there's any information related to that, right? The third step you need to take in trying to answer the question is actually to write down your hypothesis. What is a hypothesis, students?
Intellectual guess.
Intellectual guess. You just guess and say, okay, I'm going to say the cause of bacteria in human skeleton is probably because of eating a lot of pizza. You love pizza, don't you? Okay, just a guess. That's maybe not so much intellectual. But for now, let's assume that's an intellectual. The fourth step is to make an experiment, right? We need experiments. We do experiments in physics, in chemistry, in math, everywhere. Why do we need to experiment? Well, you need it because you want to test your intellectual guess, the hypothesis. Students, guess what could be the fourth step after making the experiment? You're in a lab, you have already tested this. What do you think is the next thing to do?
Analyzing the results.
Yes, exactly. You do what we call analyzing the data. Whatever you found out, and there are several steps. I'll talk to you about this in the next lecture. How do you analyze the data you have acquired? But finally, before you conclude everything, you need to tell us exactly your findings. Okay, the finding that, okay, finally, it seems to me that the cause of bacteria and human skeleton is because of A, B, C, and D. So you draw conclusions. Now, if you hit a snag at the conclusions, what do you do? And you are confused. Maybe you are confused at step number 5. Maybe at step number 6. What do you do? What do you think?
Restart.
You restart, you go back, exactly, that's the thing. Now, you see, this is a method, a scientific method. But if I sent you outside there to do all research using these 6 steps, it must seem to be a bit boring, right? Now, the 21st century learning method, one of them is actually to help you do this in a most fun way, most memorable way, most engaging way. And how do you do that? You engage a musical activity, okay? You are students. Okay, so we're gonna do, before I do anything, let's listen to some of us. This is an example of how students were taught how to understand a scientific method using art, okay? And listen by paying attention to the way they express this. Okay. If I can play this, do you think I can? I don't seem to find. Yes. All right. All right. 1, 2, 3. Yeah.
Oh.
What do we know? Just gotta go get that info.
Dance break.
Hey. Hey.
The scientific method is nothing to dread. You follow 6 steps, they get stuck in your head.
3, a hypothesis is what you need. Find your stance and follow that lead. 4, experiment, never doubt the hypothesis you got to test it out.
Dance break. The scientific method is nothing to dread. You follow 6 steps, they get stuck in your head.
5, is it right? How do you know? Analyze your data, then you're good to go. 6, draw conclusions. Is it time to stop? A bit of confusion, then go back to the top.
Oh yeah, dance break. The scientific method is nothing to dread. You follow 6 steps, they get stuck in your head. That's it.
Word.
All right, students, what do you think is the difference between this sort of approach and the approach that I used? Or combination?
Engaging a lot more senses to learn the.
Exactly. It
subject.
engages you. What do you think is going to be the result after you have suspended students after the class?
So when you explained, it was just auditory. I had to listen.
Yes.
Now there is body movement, there is sound, there is visual aid. So that what he said, that more senses are engaged.
Exactly. You're engaging more senses, and the way you engage all the senses in learning, it means you are helping.
Rhythm.
Yes, there's rhythm to that, and then you're helping actually to retain memory more. Okay. So what we find out here is that actually music supports cognitive development. Okay. So because we're engaging in the music activity, we are allowing our cognition to be a little bit more alive. And then music supports long-term memory, right? So the more you engage in music, because it is a memory aspect, it means students are going to be able to remember. If they ever forget the formula, they can just sing a song, for instance. Or they don't have to sing it so perfectly. That's not the goal. The goal is to help them remember and memorize that, okay? And because it's universal, everybody can actually enjoy that. So the goal is not to teach them how to be best musicians, but is to use that sort of approach to help them remember information in an engaging, fun way, right? So next time, please, I want you to go and design a project that incorporates a music activity, and then I'll look at that project next time when you come back. Right. Thank you so much.
Good.